So, back in 2019, Apple released the iPhone 11 Pro and the 11 Pro Max, but how does it compare to, say, to the iPhone 15 Pro Max? Well, today it's the last in my mini-series of comparing an iPhone 15 Pro Max to an older Pro Max model other than the 14 Pro Max. So if you've been watching my channel already, you know I've already compared this phone to the 13 Pro Max, also the 12 Pro Max, and now it's time for the 11 Pro or the 11 Pro Max and see what the differences are there and if it's worth upgrading from this phone to this phone here by doing loads of different tests. So those tests we're going to compare the actual body design, how it actually looks, and the obvious sort of features. We're also going to test out, say, the camera abilities, and we're also going to test out how fast the iPhone 15 Pro Max is compared to the 11 Pro Max, and also do some good old-fashioned benchmarking too. But first of all, let's get started then with the body design, and let's see what the differences are between both of the designs of these phones, because there's quite a lot. So in looks wise, we are looking at a completely different generation of iPhones here. So straight away, you know, we've got the always on display here on the iPhone 15 Pro Max. Something that got introduced with the iPhone 14 Pro series was the always on display. Don't get me wrong, there is an OLED display inside the iPhone 11 Pro and the 11 Pro Max, but obviously it cannot do always on display. And the next thing I'm also going to say is straight away, this one has got a 60 Hertz display inside it. It can only go up to 60 Hertz and remains at 60 Hertz, whereas this one here with the 15 Pro Max, what we can do, we can actually go from 1 Hertz all the way up to 120 Hertz with that ProMotion display. The other thing to notice, obviously, is that we still got the notch here, and we've also got dynamic island. And also, just looking at the bezels just around there, look how much thinner they are on the iPhone 15 Pro Max compared to what we had on the 11 Pro series of phones. But looking at the actual body and things like this, one of the things that you would notice straight away between both these phones is obviously we do have USB-C on the bottom of the iPhone 15 models. Now all of them, including this one here, is far faster. We're talking 10 gigabits we can actually go up over this port here, whereas this one has still got traditional lightning port at the bottom, and you can only go up to 480 megabits. So yeah, massive difference there. We're talking over 20 times faster with this phone here to transfer data to. Obviously charging is far faster on the iPhone 15 Pro Max compared to the 11 Pro. With the wattage there, I think this one can only go up to 15 watts of charging on this phone, whereas this one here, we can actually go up and beyond that, and we can actually go up to around about 27 watts of charging if you have the right type of charger inside of it. But having a look at the buttons here, not much has changed on this side. We still do have the power button on this side. The SIM card was on this side as well, but obviously it wasn't this on the same on the 12 Pro Max. If you got the sort of a non-US version, but switching it over to the other side, these are things different here. Obviously no SIM on this side on the 11, but we do have the SIM card tray here, like I said, if you don't have a US version. The other thing is obviously the action button came along this year, whereas we've still got just the normal flicker switch to change it to silent mode or loud mode on that one. On the top, it's very similar sort of thing with aerials and things as antennas and things like that, but sort of flicking it round now to the actual back, look at the difference we got there. Remember, the iPhone 11 series was the actual first phone to introduce the triple sort of camera lens in a square module like this on an iPhone, and back then we thought this was really big when this came out, and we thought, oh, it sticks out really badly and things like this, but look at it here with the iPhone 15 Pro Max, how much bigger that is, and it also sticks out way more. I don't know if I can show you here. If I sort of twist it sideways, you can probably actually see there the cameras, how much they stick out. Look at that. The 11 Pros, or here we go, if I do it like this way, probably a better way of doing it is putting it close to it. You can see that the 11 Pros hardly stick out whatsoever, whereas on the iPhone 15 Pro Max they really do stick out. So we do have a massive difference there. Obviously the lenses are very different. This can open it up to a 2x zoom on the telephoto, where we can go to a 5x zoom. We've also got the quad tone as well inside here, where we've still got the old-fashioned dual tone. LiDAR sensor as well was introduced with the iPhone 12 Pro series. That's on this phone. And the material on the back, feels the same, but obviously this is titanium on this, whereas this one is still the stainless steel sort of material on this phone. And one thing I will say I do love about the 11 Pro was this color. I loved this color when it came out. I think it was called like midnight green, if I remember. Shame it's not come back with something similar to this, because I absolutely love that color. But really, that is the comparisons on how the phone looks. One thing I would also say, just add quickly, I would actually say the 11 Pro feels more comfortable in my hand even than the iPhone 15 Pro Max in my hand. I know Apple have worked on making this more comfortable, but still nothing beats this kind of sort of rounded edge to the side, and it feels far more comfortable in my hand on this phone here. So then guys, just quickly, I want to talk to you about these. These are the brand new VITURE One XR AR glasses, and they're absolutely amazing. You can simply just connect them up to your iPhone 15 Pro Max like I have right here. So if you are going to go and get yourself one, this is going to be a great upgrade for your new phone. And with it at the moment, I can actually see a 120-inch equivalent screen at 1080p in front of me, and I'm also going to get awesome sound from Harman Sound out of the frames right here. One of the coolest features on these AR glasses is that I can see everything in the real world, and I can also see everything what I'm seeing on my screen here of my phone. But say if I want to darken out the world and focus more on my phone, I can just press this button here and look, it actually darkens the shades right here, what is absolutely amazing. And I can just press it again to restore it back. There is also the Spacewalker app for these glasses, what allows you to have, say, like a portable office, where you can, for example, look at things that are happening in your calendar, also check documents and things like that, what is pretty awesome inside the Spacewalker app. Then there are these two dials at the top here, and this allows you to actually adjust the image so it's super user-friendly with nearsighted users. Also, if you still think of keeping your iPhone 11 Pro Max or a phone with a Lightning port, you can still actually use this with the special adapter that VITURE give you, and also with a Lightning to HDMI adapter too. There are also other features like 3 degrees of freedom and many other features too, and if you want to check them out, check out the link that's in the description of this video. And also VITURE are also offering 10% off these glasses right now if you use this code that I'm displaying right on the screen, and it'll also be in my description. So what I would say is make sure you get your upgrade for your iPhone right now with these amazing AR glasses. So next of all, let's talk about the cameras. I know I've just showed this on the body design that the differences on the camera sizes here, they're really different. But yeah, you do have 12 megapixel cameras still inside of this with far smaller sensors and lenses compared to what we have here with the iPhone 15 Pro Max. So it's going to be quite interesting here to see what we're actually going to get. We're doing some comparisons. So first of all, I've got my good old ultra wide shot here on the iPhone 11 Pro Max at 0.5, and then we go up to a 1x zoom, and then we go up to a 2x zoom, a 5x zoom, and then a 10x zoom. Then switching to the iPhone 15 Pro Max at 0.5, 1x zoom, 2x zoom, 5x zoom, and then that digital 10x zoom. Next of all, let's now compare of portrait pictures, as you can see here on the iPhone 11 Pro Max. And then this is the iPhone 15 Pro Max portrait picture. After this, let's have a look at some nighttime. So the iPhone 11 Pro and the iPhone 11 Pro Max wasn't the best at this, as you can see when it first came out, here at the normal zoom. And then if I go up to a 5x zoom here on the 11 Pro Max, you can see it's not doing well at all. But compared to the iPhone 15 Pro Max here, we've got a really good 1x zoom here at nighttime. It's far better. And then going up to a 5x zoom, you can see it's far more crispier here. Well, that's enough of photographs. Let's now move on to video zoom capability, starting out then with the iPhone 11 Pro. But let's get started. Let's start with a bit of a zoom then. This is up to a 1x zoom, and that's it. We can only stop at 1.5, and we have to stop the video. And then we have to start the video again, and we can be at 1x zoom now. This is the main one, and then we can keep on pinching up again, and we can get all up to a 3x zoom. And then guess what? We have to stop the video again. And then you can keep zooming again. And as you can see, we can go all the way up to a 7x digital zoom. What's okay, but when we see the iPhone 15 Pro Max, let's see how far that can go in comparison. So now we're on the iPhone 15 Pro Max, and we've got the tree in center. Let's see then. So we can actually go all the way up to a 1x zoom. That's what we're at now. We can go to 1.5, 2x zoom, and we're going to keep on going. We're now at 3x zoom. Notice we're not stopping the video here. We can keep on going. We're now at a 5x zoom. So this is now the telephoto here. That's what we're on. So 5 times, and we can keep on cropping, keep on going. We're now at 10x zoom. And we can keep on going, and we're now at a 15x zoom, and we can basically stop there. We cannot go more than a 15x zoom. So as you see there, guys, you're going to get a big camera gain here if you're getting yourself a brand new iPhone 15 Pro or iPhone 15 Pro Max like we have right here, compared to the old 11 Pro and the 11 Pro Max. Definitely that telephoto, you could only get a 2x telephoto with this, and this goes 5 times, so straight away a massive difference. And obviously the chipset inside of it is also doing a lot of work too. But let's talk about battery life next of all. Now, battery life is really hard to compare here. Obviously the battery inside the 11 Pro and the 11 Pro Max are far smaller than what we have inside the 15 Pro and the 15 Pro Max. And also, if you've owned one of these phones now for say a good 4 years or something like this, 3 or 4 years, then obviously the battery, if it's never been replaced, has going to be run down quite a bit probably inside of it. Whereas if you're getting yourself a brand new iPhone 15, you're going to notice a massive leap in battery life. Obviously the chipset's even more efficient with the A16 and the A17 Pro, what's in these Pro models, but you will notice a big gain there. And also charging speeds is also far quicker on the likes of an iPhone 15 Pro and an iPhone 15 Pro Max in what you got with the 11 Pro. But next of all, guys, let's now talk about the actual speed of what's actually inside of this, and let's open up some multiple apps on both these phones and see how quick the phones are. So let's open up some apps and let's see how well these phones cope. So obviously this phone does have 8GB of RAM. It's faster RAM than what's in the RAM what's in this phone here, what's only got 4GB of RAM inside it. But let's open up basically the same apps. So we have got BBC News. I'm not going to close it down because I've got no other apps open. What should we do next? So we'll do Geekbench as well. So we will have that open. Let's pause that down in the background. Let's open up Antutu as well. Let's do that. They're both open. Apologise if I didn't say Antutu correctly. I know there's a lot of people who tell me off for that. 3D Mark next of all. We've got that running in the background. Next of all, let's open up Maps. And we've got Maps on here. They're both ready to go. So let's bring those down there. Calculator, a simple app, but you know, we'll have it open in the background. And let's move on then to Apple Music Store, the music here, streaming service. So we're going to leave that running in the actual background there. Got some notifications coming through as well, but we've also got BBC Weather, or not BBC Weather, just the Apple Weather, sorry. So I'm going to leave those running in the background. And then after this, what we've got, we're going to actually open up the App Store, and the App Store, let's leave those just run there on the same page. So they're both running. And then finally, we're going to open up the camera too. So the camera is now open. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch now between apps. So we're going to flick this open. Let's flick all the way back to BBC News and see what happens here. Oh, they open up quite well. I think the iPhone was slightly faster there. But let's now go to, I don't know, let's go to Antutu, the thing I cannot say correctly. So let's go to that. Yeah, I'd say again, the iPhone was slightly faster. It's not really slow, but let's go to the actual weather now, see what happens there. Yep, same thing again. I believe the actual iPhone 15 Pro Max was slightly faster, but still it shows that this iPhone 11 can cope with apps, but you are going to get a more snappier experience here with the iPhone 15 Pro and the iPhone 15 Pro Max. So as you can see there, still Apple are optimizing the 11 Pro and the 11 Pro Max quite well with that A13 chipset inside it. But obviously the A17 Pro is leaps and bounds ahead. But let's do some benchmark comparisons and let's see what the differences are there. Okay then, let's now do some benchmarking. So I think the best thing we do is Geekbench 6 here. So let's get that all open and up and running. So just having a look here straight away, just look at the specs. Look at this here, that we have got a CPU running at 3.78 gigahertz, whereas this one here, we're running at 2.6 gigahertz. And also the RAM is double the amount, the memory there inside of this phone here. The other thing also to take note is obviously how this is all being built up. So the chip what's inside this one, this was the A13. This came with 4 CPU cores, six CPU cores inside it, and those 6 cores are 4 efficiency cores, and then we also have 2 performance cores. And then after that, the GPU is very different. What we'll do a benchmark on, we've got 6 GPU cores inside this, where there's only 4 inside this one. But let's get started then with a CPU benchmark first of all, and let's have a look then. Let's see what the difference is between the A17 Pro going all the way back to the A13. So we're going to run this now, and let's have a look to see what those differences are. And look at that for a difference straight away. We are talking big changes between both of this here. We're talking around about a 45% sort of difference here in sort of speeds for both here. So with even the multi-core and the single core score there, the screen keeps turning off, but that is pretty crazy, the difference here. That obviously single core is 2,965, while it's 1,786 here on the A13, and obviously the multi-core score almost double, not quite, but almost as double of what we got with the A13. But even having a look at the results here on the single benches, where you can see where things sit here, whereas, you know, 2,965, even where, for example, the 11 Pro sat against, say, the 14 Pro and the 14 Pro Max on the single core score, you can see it's a big difference. Same here with multi-core scores too. We have some massive differences there. Look at that. Even like I said, 14 Pro Max, even the 13 Pro Maxes, they actually had some big differences on the amount of speed that we actually had between both of these phones. So yeah, you should notice a difference if opening up apps a bit more quicker, especially like 3D games and things like that. And talk about 3D games, that is what we are going to run next of all. We're actually going to run the GPU now, and let's see what the difference is here on both of these phones. So we're going to get GPU ready, and we're going to run these right now to see what the differences are. And look at that for the actual metal graphics score. That is crazy. We're talking over double the amount here with the iPhone 15 Pro Max. We're talking around about 120 to 130% more graphical sort of horsepower inside the iPhone 15 Pro Max than what the iPhone 13 or the iPhone 11 Pro, sorry, the 11 Pro Max had inside. I got confused there with the A13 chipset. But as you can see the big differences here. Like I said, you've got the cores inside of here and everything like that for the actual CPU, but the actual GPU, there are big differences here on the numbers on metal performance. One of those big ones, obviously, as you can see down here, is things like face detection. That neural engine's kicking in far faster than what we actually had in, say, one of this phone here. It's from the sort of second, third phones to have a neural engine inside of it, or the chipset inside. So obviously a lot has changed over that time, but it's quite interesting again, like I said, to see the actual performance differences here between both these phones. If you're after 3D games and things like this, and also things like what's going to really use that AI engine built inside the phone, the iPhone 15 Pro and the iPhone 15 Pro Max with that A17 Pro is really going to perform super well for you. So as you can see there, the iPhone 15 Pro Max completely wiped the floor of the A13 chipset. At the end of the A13 chipset was state of the art when it came out. It was blowing away all other Android competitors, just like what the A17 Pro does today. It's absolutely amazing. Obviously that ray tracing and abilities, all of that really helps out the GPU side. But overall, yeah, you are going to get a fantastic new experience with that chipset, especially if you're playing like 3D games or any apps that are going to utilize, say, that 3D capability, and also using that machine learning sort of capability, that neural engine was inside the A17 chipset. And with that, let's come to the conclusion. Is it worth upgrading an 11 Pro or 11 Pro Max to an iPhone 15 Pro Max or even the iPhone 15 Pro? I think the simple answer is yes, it is. You will notice a difference if you upgrade from this phone to this phone. Whereas I was saying about like an iPhone 14 Pro Max or 14 Pro, same with the 13 as well, you're not going to notice too much difference. 12 territory, you notice a bit, but when you're stepping into 11 territory or even older, if you go back to the 10S XS sort of series or even older than that, you are really going to feel that upgrade capability with everything you're getting inside this phone here. So I would be saying if you are looking to getting a new phone this year and you want to stick with an iPhone and you want the best one again, definitely look into venturing into an iPhone 15 Pro or an iPhone 15 Pro Max. And with that, guys, it's time to end this series now. We've compared the 13 Pro Max to 12 Pro Max, and like I said, the 11 Pro and the 11 Pro Max now. So it's time to end it. I hope you've enjoyed this little mini series, and I hope it actually helps you choose to upgrade. And on that note as well, guys, if you've enjoyed watching this video, please do press the like button. And also at the same time, if you want to hear the latest Apple news, reviews, and comparisons like we've done today, make sure you subscribe to this channel and also hit that notification bell. Until next time, guys, I will see you soon. Take care. Bye bye.